this whole Caspian oil basin. Brent Scowcroft, Zbigniew Brzezinski. I could go down the line of these people, former administration peoples, who are on the payroll of companies like Amoco, Pennzoil, Unicol, and so forth. Mr. Tamraz, would you please illuminate that for the public that is listening? They don't know. They don't know the involvement of these high rollers involved in this Caspian oil pipeline.
Thanks.
Well, as I said, more than 20 of the largest American oil companies are out there simply because that's the new area where you can find oil. All the rest of the world is pretty well discovered and pretty well written up. However, if they use the big names like Kissinger, Brzezinski, and the others, again, it's just to bring the issues of policy to the administration, and the administration itself, in a healthy way, has all different opinions about what do we do with the oil in the Caspian. One of the issues is that some people felt there's a new Yalta there and that this is the backyard of the Russians and we shouldn't bother them there. We'll worry more about NATO and about the Baltic states. This was till October 95 when President Clinton talked to Aliyev and said, I'm open for multiple pipelines, which is in fact the industry request. We all want multiple pipelines so that we don't have one pipeline which is too expensive. As I always said, two pipelines are cheaper than one, so that nobody can really block our oil out.
The pipeline would be how long?
The pipeline would be depending where you start, but it could be in the one stage would be about 500 miles. It then would go to the Mediterranean. That would be another 600 miles. And if you start from Kazakhstan, you would add another 700 or 800 miles.
How many countries would it run through?
It would run from Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, on the way to Azerbaijan, and then to Georgia and Turkey.
Who would build it?
It would be built by, hopefully, American construction firms, if we can get some American input there. But also, we are competing with the Japanese and with the Europeans.
And does the American government have decisions to make still in this whole process?
No, my belief is that the American government took a policy which says, okay, you can build a pipeline. What we wanted before 95 is not to happen what happened to Conoco. Conoco for 2 years tried to invest in a very important gas field in Iran. After signing the agreement and spending millions of dollars, the White House told them you have to pull back. And that's why we wanted a preemptive decision before we did that. And what happened to Conoco? So Total went in, and the Russians went in, and the Malaysians went in, and one of the big assets that could have become American has now gone overseas.
Mountain View, California, thanks for waiting.
Good morning. Mr. Tamraz, during the hearings, you mentioned that you put your life on the line for the United States, and you also mentioned Mr. Casey's name, who was head of the CIA during the Reagan administration. I was wondering if you could expand on that.
Thanks.
Unfortunately, I can't because this concerns United States security. But I know some people challenge me by saying, you know, Casey is dead and Begin is dead and Philip Habib is dead, so why'd you mention them? Fortunately, there were other witnesses during those meetings who are not dead. So I think for the record and for history, someday these issues will come out. Right now, I'm not at the liberty to discuss them. I only discuss security matters when somebody else let it out to the press, but it never came from me.
Why are you bound by security concerns?
I'm just bound as a citizen to believe that this is American interest and there's no interest for us to put these things in public.
Do you have a family?
I do.
How many children?
4.
Where do they live?
They live in the U.S.
What's the correct way to pronounce your last name?
Tamraz.
Louisville, Kentucky, you're next.
Good morning. I just wanted to say that concerning the political process and Mr. Tamraz's awareness of the political process, that when we're talking about access to our politicians and the people we've elected, I've found that as a Republican, that if I have an issue that is important, that I know is important to the security of the United States, or a local issue or a state issue, that if I know the process and I know the people who represent me, I can go and talk to those people. And if my issue is really relevant, that those people will listen to me regardless of how much money I've contributed. And I have to be persistent in that. But where the oil is concerned, that appears to be a time-limited issue where Mr. Tamraz had to, go beyond the consistent talking and sharing and maybe use the other leverage he had, which was his financial prowess in able to get through a lot of the bureaucratic barriers in order to address the issue at hand, which was the oil. And I'll listen to your comment.
Well, first, I'm very impressed with your analysis. You're absolutely right. The difference between our country and other countries is when we are blocked by bureaucrats. In other countries, you don't have an access to your elected officials, even if they call themselves democracies. I've lived in many countries in the world, especially in the Middle East. You hardly ever see your president or your minister or anyone else. They live in an ivory tower. I think this system is good because we can go and make our issues, as you very well said. And people who don't spend can also make the issues. The best example is the press. They have access to everybody and they discuss everything. Sometimes they hound the people, but we have that. My point is that I needed quicker answers, and that's why you try to cut through the red tape. But again, I want to insist, it doesn't mean you get any result. All you do is you exercise your free speech, but these people who are elected know when to give and what to give, and usually they're very correct people.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Good morning, Brian. First-time caller.
Welcome.
I'm just wondering if you